Hello everybody and welcome back to Plastic Battlegrounds. I'm here again to make more videos on this game because the last one did incredibly well. Way better than I could have imagined. The last video I did on this game did super well, so figured why not make some more. And I had this cool idea of like a mini-series that's going to be 5 episodes long, where I'm going to recreate 5 different battles from the American War for Independence. Starting, of course, with like the first battle, which was Lexington and Concord. So I'm going to like recreate the environment here. You know, I'm going to recreate. It's obviously like this isn't going to be super historically accurate. It's a toy soldier game. You know, have some expectations, but I thought it'd be fun to just recreate, you know, 5 different battles from throughout the war. You know, starting Lexington and Concord, ending in the Siege of Yorktown, which is like the final, you know, kind of battle before it was over. So we're gonna do 5 battles. I'm gonna recreate the best I can. I have Wikipedia up and I have a YouTube documentary on my phone. I'm gonna be using that to try and recreate the battlefield somewhat accurately. No promises here. So let's just let's get to work. Okay, so Lexington is gonna be here. And so we're not going to have Boston. Boston's that way. So, like, this is north. That's east, south, west. So Concord's over there. Lexington's going to be, like, here. Because we need a little space over here for something later. And obviously it's going to be shrunk down because I got to build everything within this kind of area here. Okay, here we go. Here's my terrible representation of Lexington. Well, I gotta put some trees down yet. Hold on. Okay, so there's like one tree here, like that, and then there's like a couple trees over here. And like a couple trees over here. You gotta just try to imagine there's a road here, because there's not really anything I can do for like a road. Okay, so now see the trees really help visualize the roads. You can see there's a road comes through here, goes that way. This is the road that leads to Concord and the North Bridge, where we're gonna have our cool little fight yet. All right. I think that's pretty good. We got Lexington. A horrible representation of Lexington, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. What are we working with, huh? Okay, we finished that. This is to Concord, right? Oh, whoops, nope. Okay, never mind. I miscalculated. The Concord Road is the south one, not the north one. Oh, shoot. That's actually fine, because I have more space. I can build Concord like here, and then I can do the North Bridge like there. So that actually works out. We got to change the direction of this road a little. Here, let's pull up the map again. Boom, boom, boom. It's kind of like that. Boom. There's one of these ones like this. Boom. It's on the side as well. There's kind of river between. Boom, boom. Yeah. We'll place in some guys now. So, out. Boom. Boom, he's in here. Boom, no, he's over here. Boom, he's here, he's like over here. Something like that. This second one's over here. Okay. And then, like, you know, here one of these. There we go. So, yeah, use your imagination. There's water in the middle. Actually, I was going to see if I could use, actually, blue. Some of these. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Look at that, we got water. It's not the best water, but, you know, better than nothing. So we'll just have this kind of go north. There we go. Look at that, that's water there. I was supposed to have to be more ways now. There we go. Maybe like fluff a little bit here and there. No, that's worse. This one's bad. So we'll fix that one. That's good. In reality, the river actually kind of goes through town. There's some more bridges here. Yeah. Okay. We gotta rebuild the town a little bit here. Because in reality, the water goes through the town this way. There we go. Here we go. Okay, the road's here. So I'm gonna pass that over to the little space like the road. There we go. And we'll put a little house over here. It's kind of inside just as long. And the road's there. So we're doing these up here. The road goes over to a little more. So more like that. And then, how should I like that? I like a goofy river. It kind of goofy, I see. I'm going to do one of these. Oh, that road. Something like that. There we go. That's pretty good. That's a decent representation of Concord. Hold on, let's pull up the map. Let's pull up the... Oh, my hand is in my face. Yeah. It's not bad. This side of the river is built up a little more in the map than this side, so that looks kind of right. There are more roads and houses over there, but, you know, overall, that's pretty good. And then this road leads up and crosses over to the North Bridge. I just got to figure out how we're making bridges yet. We're not gonna... This area is a lot less forested in reality than I'm making it here. But the reason I'm making it so forested is because there's no grass. So if I didn't put trees everywhere, it just looks like a barren wasteland. So... Sorry that the trees aren't historically accurate, you know. Here, we can even kind of cover up the river a little bit. You look at that, it looks like it just keeps going on then, you know, the trees kind of cover it up a little. Look, if you're like here, it looks pretty good, yo. It looks like they might just go into a cave or something. It's kind of neat. Alright, so we got one road that goes out this... And also to make roads, if the trees weren't so thick, the roads wouldn't be nearly as obvious. The trees really help it be like, yep, there's a road here. It's pretty clear to see there's a road that goes this way. And yeah, a couple of trees along the water. Here's where we're going to have the road. Here's where the road's going to be. Oh, shoot, no, I'm covering up this road again. Oh, no, I'm not. That's... Oh, no, this... Oops, I made a mistake. This is the road. That's not the road. Cover this up. There we go. Spawnables. There we go. This way. And then this goes, like, kind of through here. And then, in my fictional version of this map, these roads are going to just converge here. And, yeah, more trees. So we'll just shrub it up. Perfect. Again, this is not historically accurate. This is a toy representation. Please do not take this with any, like, air of historicity. I want to make this road a little bit wider. Make it a little more noticeable. Alright. Look at this. Looks, I feel like, kind of neat. There's the road, the more open approach here. And then there's the two roads off to the side. There's the road there that goes off that way and then goes that way to Concord. This is the road that connects to the North Road. Oh yeah, right, bridges. That's an important part I gotta figure out yet. How are we doing bridges? This works. I think someone said you hold the trigger to... Yeah. Okay, sweet. So I can get rid of its physics. Let's see, can a soldier go over here? Spawnable units. Cadet. Deletion tools. Game tools. I'm going to be gray. Spawnable. Okay. Perfect. Hey, man. Commands. Follow waypoint.
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is he gonna go? Wait a minute. Okay, the bridges are very aesthetic. The bridges are for aesthetic purposes only. Good to know. I would just like to say, whoever told me that you can hold the trigger to get rid of its physics, thank you. This map would not be possible without that. Because, yeah, like, it's just, that's so helpful. There you go. That looks pretty good. Look at that. This is the North Bridge. All right. I think we're done. Here, I'll try to put the hill over here. That is kind of an important landmark. Whoops, nope. There we go. Maybe I'll do like one more in the back. There we go. That's a pretty decent sized hill. And then obviously trees around. There we go. Because, yeah, according to like Wikipedia and the little documentary on YouTube thing I watched, the rebels, the militiamen, were on a hill overlooking, and then they rushed down to attack, and then there was a battle here, and yeah. All right, we'll get to all the good stuff. We'll get to all the good stuff. But I think this is the final result, so everyone take a good look at the map. We have Lexington, Concord, and the North Bridge. The accuracy of this map is probably horrible. So just, you know, pretend it I would just like to be clear, this video is not going to be like super one-to-one historical accuracy. I just wanted to recreate some Revolutionary War battles in this game, and I think it turned out pretty good, you know? Again, this whole area is way more foresty than it is in, like, at least in the video I looked at. But that's just to make it not look like such a brown wasteland. You know, the trees really kind of, they let you see where roads are, and they fill out the map more, make it look better. So again, a lot less forested than it is here, but you know, I'm recreating the war with toy soldiers. Like, I feel like, you know, yeah. Anyways, let's set up. I think we're ready. Oh, let's save first of all. Now we're gonna recreate the first part of the Battle of Lexington and Concord, which was, so the whole point of this was the British had heard, or they knew that there was like a lot of like weapons and like gunpowder and stuff in Concord. So they were gonna sneak out like at like midnight. They left Boston and were coming down this way. So April 18th, 1775, 700 British regulars left Boston in the evening to try and get to Concord without being noticed, because they wanted to like secure some supplies, you know, weapons and such that the rebels had been, you know, that they had. I don't really know. There's some stockpiles. There's some stockpiles in Concord. So the British regulars left Boston, and of course they meant to be sneaky. They wanted nobody to notice them coming, but due to like some spy behavior by the rebels. A bunch of people ran out and were like, "Ayo, the British are coming," or whatever they said. I think it was like the regulars are coming or something, because they were all British at the time. Because in reality, there were about 80 militiamen. But I'm gonna put down like 20. 1, 2, 9, 10. Okay. In reality, there were 80 militiamen, but obviously toy soldiers were all scaling this down. So we have 20 militiamen here. And they were going up against, again, I don't think they actually went up against 700 regulars because, hold on, let me pull it up. So, we have our rebels, and specifically they're not blocking the road because they actually, they didn't want to go to war right now. They wanted to just kind of deter them as a show of force. So this is the road to Concord, in at least my map. And here's where the 700 British regulars are marching. There's kind of an advanced force ahead of them. So it's not like the entire 700 force is here. So we're going to try and, like, recreate this. This isn't going to be very... I got tight space. I got not a lot of space here, but we'll do our best. 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now, this isn't very accurate. I don't know how much they were outnumbered by, but we're going to go with this. 3-1. I feel like that's pretty, like, massacre-y, That looks pretty good. This, so the redcoats are marching down this way. And then here you have the militiamen who wanted to, like, intimidate them. And obviously, again, just to be clear here, no one at this point really wants to shoot. These guys are being told to hold their fire. I'm sorry I don't remember names, okay? I don't remember the names of the people who were here, so... But the guy in charge of these guys said, hold your fire, don't fire, because obviously we're outnumbered by a shit ton, and that's a bad idea. The British were also told not to fire because obviously they don't want to, they don't want to start a war, exactly. So everyone was here. April 19th is when the British reached Lexington. April 19th, 1775. They arrive in Lexington, and, there's this kind of group of militiamen, and they're holding the ground. They're like, we're not going to fire. They're not going to fire. They're told to lay down their weapons, obviously, like, hey, put your guns down. And now, here's the interesting part. Nobody actually knows who fired the first shot, And I think, from what I've seen most people say, is it was like a random third-party person. It's probably someone, Oh, I forgot to mention, there's a lot of people watching from, like, windows and stuff. There's a lot of spectators because, obviously, this is, there's not a lot of interesting things going on in 1775, so people want to see this battle or see what's going to go on. So let's let the first battle, the first shots fired of the American Revolution... Although I don't know if it's this is the beginning. This is the beginning of it. So the beginning of the American Revolution. I don't know where to watch this from. Like here, is this a good spot? Somebody fires off a shot, which causes everyone to kind of blast. So here we go. All right, pretty rough. Pretty rough. Okay, they're all dead. Yeah, this is about how I imagine it'd go. Now, in reality, I think I can turn off the AI. Now, in reality, it wasn't a massacre like this. Instead, as soon as the firing started, the rebels kind of scattered to go and hide and stuff, because obviously you're not just gonna stare down a bunch of British guns and get gunned down. So in reality, there was, like, I think, what was it, 8 killed? Hold on. Pull up the thing. So that was the first shots of the American War for Independence, was in Lexington, where this small group of militiamen got kind of annihilated by the British, who took only one wounded. Only one person got wounded. And now the British are going to continue marching towards Concord at this rate to try to seize the rebel supplies. So the British march down to Concord, and once they get here, they split up. So remember, 700 British regulars. I think that's still the same number. I could be wrong. And they go to Concord, and at this point, they're splitting up. They're looking for where these supplies are. I think one of the buildings, they do find some, so they start burning down. They burn down one of the buildings here. I don't really think I can do, like, fire. So just imagine this building is on fire because, yeah, they found some supplies, and they're obviously going to burn them. And at this point, the British kind of spread out to look for stuff. Some are going this way, and then some are sent up north this way. Okay. So there's actually a ton of rebels on this hill here. And the British here, and I think from the video I saw, some British marched by. I'm guessing they were going that way to go look for more stuff or whatever. I don't really, again, I do not know the most about history. But there were about 100 British regulars holding this bridge to obviously, if troops are marching by, you don't want them to get cut off. So there's about 100 British regulars holding this bridge. Now, at this point, tensions are high. They see Concord burning in the distance. They see the smoke of, like, a couple buildings, and they're like, holy shit, we got to get in on this because, stuff's going down. So after the British march by, there's about 100 regulars holding the North Bridge. This is where the first more like actual battle kind of takes place. But you got to remember, the British are outnumbered 4-1. I didn't count these guys, but I think it's pretty good. And the militiamen were starting to cross the bridge, and obviously, if this is your perspective, you're going to be a little nervous, realizing like, okay, hold on a second, we're outnumbered by like a ton. So some panicking British soldiers one of them fired. One of the British soldiers fired, and hearing him firing, a lot of his like friendly fellows fired as well, which was, it wasn't like a full volley, but it was kind of like a ragged volley because they thought the order maybe had been given to fire, which, I mean, again, if you're looking at this, I can see how this would be a little concerning, and you might want to do something about this because this is pretty bad. So, of course, the British open fired, and the rebels open fired, and immediately the British got like super overwhelmed, and they ended up running back to Concord. So, let's see how this battle takes place here. All right. And the British open fire in a panic in 3, 2, 1. Okay. This is definitely going to be a much closer battle. And of course, hold on. You know what? I'm actually going to recreate the British running for their lives. So at this point, the battle's going. People are dying. Shit has very clearly hit the fan. We have our British troops, and we're going to order them to... There we go. Now the British are running away because they've taken incredibly heavy losses. And at this point, they're retreating back towards Concord. And the rebels actually don't follow them. So AI off. Okay, they all kind of died running away. But the rebels actually don't follow them. They like push them past the bridge. And then the British run back to Concord. All right. Yeah, obviously, again, they didn't take this many casualties. There were casualties, of course, some wounded, killed, but it wasn't like this bad for the British. We're going to spawn some people to ambush them along the way. We're going to spawn some blues on this side, some blues on that side, some blues in the houses. So they're getting attacked out by the woods here. There's rebel kind of groups hiding out in the woods.
Come on, let's go.
Obviously, this isn't accurate again to history. There was a ton of ambushes and stuff, but this should kind of recreate it a little bit.
Point me to the end.
And then in the houses, apparently, now there were more houses along the way as well that they got sniped by, but I'm gonna put some in these houses, and that'll just have to do. And of course, here as well. Nope. Nope.
Come on, let's go.
There we go. Look at that. So now, obviously, this is late in the evening now, so it was around noon. So remember, early morning is when the battle in Lexington took. I mean, it wasn't really a battle. It was, you know, a couple shots were fired and the militiamen kind of ran for cover. So not really a battle, but a couple shots fired in Lexington. That's when it started, early morning. The British came here, started searching, found some supplies. They didn't find nearly all of it, though. I think I forgot to mention that. Most of the supplies were already moved to different locations, so they didn't really find a whole lot here. And now the Battle of the North Bridge just took place, and now it is noon. And the commander guy who's in charge of the British forces is like, all right, time to, you know, get back to Boston. Let's skedaddle out of here. And then along the way, they get ambushed a couple different times by militia forces. Of course, again, everything is super condensed here down. So, it, you know, but, you know, this is kind of the idea. So here is our British force retreating from Concord. Again, these numbers are not, like, accurate to scale, but that's good enough. We have the British here who now are going to march back to Boston, and we have the rebels in the trees, and of course some in the buildings as well, that are going to be harassing them the whole way back, which was kind of a huge problem. They ended up taking most of their casualties, I think, in the retreat back. We're gonna follow the British as they attempt to retreat back to Boston. Yeah. All right, here we go. Obviously, the British are going to be consistently taking fire from the rebels in the trees as they are marching back to Boston. Oh, they've reached Lexington now. This is honestly probably more realistic casualties they're taking compared to how it actually was than the last battles. But here they are. Now, at this point, AI off. Okay. So at this point, obviously this took a lot longer in reality. I'd like to be very clear. In reality, this was like a very long march from here, and at this point the rebels, a lot of, like, thousands of rebels have begun converging on the British force as it's retreating to Boston. And at this point, some British help has arrived. Reinforcements were sent from Boston, obviously, to help these guys. So they actually have, just outside Lexington, they actually set up a defensive area here. So here we have the British relieving force that is attempting to save their comrades. Now, in reality, the rebels were kind of coming from everywhere, at least what it looked like. Again, I watched a YouTube documentary and Wikipedia, okay? I'm not claiming this is to be 100% historically accurate. I'm kind of just doing this for fun. So, at this point, we're going to put a bunch of rebel soldiers here that want a piece of this. All right. Back to the tans. All right. So at this point, the blues are chasing the tans. I keep forgetting I'm trying to recreate real history, and I'm just using the toy names at this rate. The rebels, the militiamen, are still hunting the redcoats as they retreat back towards Boston. So this is like the final leg of the journey. Obviously, they kind of had to keep going. There was like a lot more action that happened, but we're limited here, okay? I don't have enough space to do everything. So this is going to be like the final battle for this video as the British continue their retreat back to as they continue their retreat back towards there. All right, let's go. Go. The cannons are opening fire. The British are taking heavy casualties. Go. Oh, whoops. I have the AI set to hold position. All right. The British are going. Switch to the blues. Anyways, now I can actually properly do this. So, obviously the rebels wanted to chase them, but the cannons eventually scared them back. So let's recreate that here now. So the rebels, of course, are attempting to chase the British. But the cannons, do a ton of damage. And then the rebels realize, okay, wait, let's fall back. And at this point, the rebels retreated back. All right. And at this point, then the British retreat became a lot more successful as they all retreated back towards Boston. There we go. We recreated all the battles. There it was. Yeah. Those were the battles of Lexington and Concord. I hope it kind of worked out in video format. It felt kind of jumbled trying to do this all here, but that was fun. That was fun to recreate. I hope this was enjoyable. I hope it was fun to see me try and recreate some American history here with toy soldiers. Yeah. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like on it and comment down below what you thought of the video and what you would like to see in the future. And of course, subscribe to see more future videos from me. And with that all being said, thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.